Sejima, thank you very much. I'd like to ask about Japan-China relations. So you will be devising 3 security papers, and you mentioned about China, and Mr. Hagiuda visit to Taiwan for the first time in 19 years. China is reacting. However, Prime Minister would like to realize their summit meeting in between, and so that was mentioned last month. And how are you going to react in view of G7, and what is your timing for visit to China? First of all, by the end of this year, we will compile a new national security strategy, and regarding such contents, regarding how we stipulated and the sentences, they are currently under review, and we haven't decided how to write the sentences and language. And regarding China, with Mr. Xi Jinping in person for the first time, the first ever Japan summit meeting in person was held with him. And regarding the bilateral direction was talked about, and the opportunities and the issues and the pending issues, etc., were talked about in an in-depth manner. And I myself provided my idea and course of actions. And between both nations, still we have various possibilities at the same time. We have a number of issues and pending issues that we have to address. Regarding my visit to Japan, nothing has been decided, however, going forward, including summit level at all different levels. We'd like to closely communicate with each other. We will say whatever we have to say, and we will call on China to act responsibly in a strong manner, and including pending issues. We'd like to repeat our dialogue, and we will cooperate for any common issues. So constructive and stable relations have to be established, and that has to be established with mutual efforts. So that's my thought about and basic idea about the bilateral relations. And based on such a thinking, the bilateral relations, how it should be, what we thought about, and specific timeline, etc., is going to be considered always in this framework.
Next, NHK Shimizu-san, please. Thank you. My question is about diplomacy in going forward. From next month, Japan will be the chair of G7 on the Ukrainian situation. Right after the aggression started, Germany, the chair of G7 this year, has worked with the U.S. and proactively supported Ukraine and imposed severe sanctions against Russia. And what is going to be the policy in going forward, and also how you're going to handle the relationship with China? The international society, now we are at the end of a post-Cold War. We are at the fork of the history and Russian aggression against Ukraine, and there is a higher risk of a use of weapons of mass destruction. We are facing the unprecedented critical time. And in next year at the G7 Hiroshima summit, the military aggression or the intimidation through the nuclear weapons or the attempt to overturn the international order, we as a G7 would like to present our strong will that we resolutely disapprove with a historical weight. And with that thinking, the sanctions against Russia and Ukraine, support to Ukraine, we would like to work closely with the G7 nations and continue promote the course in going forward. And as only Asia member of G7, Europe and Indo-Pacific regions security cannot be discussed with a separated context. That is what I would like to emphasize in our discussion, and our relationship with China. In going forward, including a summit level, in all levels, we will communicate closely, and what we will assert, what we should assert, and we will request them to take a responsible action and constructive and stable relationship. That is what we would like to establish and realize through a bilateral effort. Regarding my diplomatic calendar, there is nothing that's been decided. By May next year, G7 and summit leaders of each state, I would proactively engage discussion, and also based on the personal trust relationship with each state leaders for the success of Hiroshima summit, I would like to make various efforts.